Welcome back. Today is the day before we take the ferry to the mainland, and we're parked on a public beach in Los Barriles. It's a free parking spot, but we had to do some things to get ready for the ferry. So we found an RV park that let us dump our gray water, and now I'm doing some laundry. Got to get ready to cross over to the mainland. The next thing we're doing to prepare is cleaning the van. Might be a little preemptive since we're still on the beach, so we're probably gonna get sand in here everywhere. But I dug out the vacuum, it's behind me, and I'm trying to get rid of what I can. Sit. Sit down.
Can you sit?
Put your bum down. Good morning. If you can see me, it's our last day here in Baja.
We're catching a ferry this afternoon to the mainland of Mexico.
It's actually this evening.
Okay.
But yeah, later we're going to Mexico, mainland Mexico. We're already in Mexico.
This will be our last sunrise over the ocean for at least a week. We had to do some things to prepare for the ferry. We dumped the gray water because the ferry rate is by vehicle weight, so we wanted to make it as light as possible. We've already taken care of our temporary import permit. Good job, buddy.
I think the last thing we need to do is get to the ferry terminal and buy tickets for the ferry. We have reserved a spot, but we haven't paid for it.
We don't know how much it's going to be yet.
It'll be a surprise.
We think we should be able to drive the van onto the boat, make all of our preparations, put ourselves into night mode, go to sleep while the ferry sails across the Gulf of California, and then we can wake up in the morning and drive off of the boat and be in Mexico officially, because the Baja Peninsula is kind of a weird free zone where you're not fully officially in Mexico, although
You are in Mexico.
we are in Mexico. We're just not.
You just don't have to do all the same paperwork that you do if you go to the mainland Mexico.
Right.
If that makes sense.
We did do our tourist visa when we entered Sonora, even though we didn't have to, because we knew we would eventually have to because of today.
And you can't do that here in La Paz.
So at least now that's already out of the way.
So when we get to the other side, we will be in Topolobampo, and it should be about 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. So our plan is to start driving south for about 4 or 5 hours. It'll probably put us around Mazatlan. We will find a place to sleep and continue our route from there.
So for the last couple of days, we have been traveling with some other vans that we met on a different beach that looked a lot like this beach, but it was actually a different beach. And we'll be saying bye to those people today.
Yesterday we noticed that the drawer slide for our trunk, as we call it, was detaching from the wall. So we just pulled everything out of the drawer, took the drawer out, and now Rob is working to put in some longer screws into like our studs, so hopefully it doesn't happen again. Nice and tight.
That's it.
Now it's not separated from the side. Before we get on the ferry, we just stopped for some tacos. Hola! We're here at the ferry. Rob tried to buy ticket on the ferry, and he got denied.
The first thing you gotta do to bring a car into mainland Mexico is to get your visa. We did it at the border, but you don't have to. But we did because we knew we were gonna need it. The next thing you have to do is to get a temporary import permit for your vehicle. Because if you come through Baja, you don't need to import the vehicle. But if you enter mainland Mexico, real Mexico, you have to import the vehicle. You give them all your documentation, and then they'll give you a document that looks like this.
We did that about a week ago when we drove through La Paz.
You also want to get a reservation to sail on whatever date you can get, because it's probably not going to be the date that you want. And don't show up the day of, because you won't get on a boat.
So this is all very confusing. We arrived at the ferry terminal and parked. We were told to walk to the office to buy our tickets. So we did that. There was a long line. Rob waited in the line. At the ticket office, they told him that we need to drive the vehicle through first, and then we get a ticket, like a slip, I guess, and then we bring it back to buy the actual tickets. So we walked back to the van, got in, drove through the inspection station, had the van weighed and measured, and now he's back in the ticket office, hopefully buying a ticket.
So when you arrive at the ferry port terminal, whatever we're calling this, there's a bunch of steps that you have to do in a particular order. The first thing that we did was to acquire our temporary import permit, which allows us to bring our van into mainland Mexico. You would have to get a temporary import permit if you entered Mexico at any border, except for if you're going into northern Sonora or the Baja Peninsula. We entered through northern Sonora and we drove all the way down the Baja Peninsula, so this is the point where we're actually entering Mexico officially, and we need to import the van. Because our van is over 7,700 pounds, we had to get essentially a waiver that says, yes, we are overweight, but we are not a commercial vehicle. In order to do that, the customs officer does a quick visual inspection of the van and says, yes, okay, this is just a personal vehicle. We're not shuttling people or cargo around. It's just essentially an RV. And they sign and stamp a form, and then you go back to Banjercito to complete the rest of the paperwork, and then you can get the TIP. If your vehicle is over 7,700 pounds, they assume that it's a commercial vehicle, and they won't allow a temporary import of a commercial vehicle. So that's why we did the inspection to prove that it's not a commercial vehicle. We chose to do all of those steps prior to the day we were actually going to sail, just in case there were any hiccups or roadblocks, or they didn't want to give us the temporary import permit, because we had read online cases where people were denied entry. We had no issues. So now we're here on the day of our reservation to catch the ferry, and the first thing that you have to do is drive through an inspection by aduana, which is customs. The agent did a quick visual inside, opened the doors, peeked inside, and we opened up the rear storage drawer. Then we drove through, put the van on a scale, and we paid 210 pesos for the weight and length measurements, and they will give you a slip for that, which says how much your van weighs and how long it is, or whatever kind of vehicle you have. You take that slip into the TMC office. TMC is the ferry operator who we chose to sail with. That tells TMC how long and heavy your vehicle is, and they charge you your ticket according to the vehicle size and the number of passengers. They gave us 2 boarding slips and a receipt. I believe this allows our vehicle to go on. And right now we are parked outside. The boat is right in front of us with its big door open, and we're waiting for, I think we should start boarding soon. I don't know. We're kind of just hanging out here with a bunch of 18-wheelers to see when they tell us to start moving onto the boat. And we're hoping to get onto the top deck, because if any engines are running inside on the lower deck overnight, it's going to smell like diesel exhaust, because this is all big rigs here. But if you're up on the upper deck, you're in the open air,
and you get a fresh sea breeze, and it doesn't smell like diesel. But you will get a film of salt all over the outside of your vehicle. So as soon as we get off the boat on the other side, we need to start looking for a car wash.
Boarding the ferry backwards up to the top deck.
We had to drive all the way onto this boat in reverse. It was like from the actual ground, like in the parking lot, backwards over the ramp, across the first floor, up the ramp to the second floor, and all the way into the corner. It was an interesting experience. But I'm very thankful for the reverse camera in this thing because it works awesome.
They're packing them in real tight.
This dude's trying to squeeze a tractor into the spot, and he has about a foot of extra length.
But he's killing it.
Ducky.
Gotta make the bed. We're still in the boat. It's like a little before 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. And the boat left a little late last night. I think it was scheduled to leave around 9, and we didn't start moving until 10. We thought we were supposed to get in at 6 a.m. But here it is, almost 8,
How did you sleep?
like this. So today, when we get to Topolobampo, our plan is to drive south from here towards Mazatlan. We met Steph and Alejo yesterday, and they got on the ferry to Mazatlan. So hopefully we can meet up with them later today. We took Loki out on the boat, thinking maybe it would be okay if he peed here because it's just gonna get washed away by the rain. We're on the top deck. He wouldn't do it. So it's now 9 o'clock, after 9?
911.
It's now 9:11. He still hasn't peed or pooped, so he's probably ready to get off this dang boat. And we are too. We're almost there. Here we go, starting our journey on mainland Mexico.
We're not even on the land yet. You can't just lie.
So now we're officially on the mainland. Rob is driving. We're in Los Mochis. We just kind of drove through the city. We're about to get on the highway. We hope this was helpful for you guys if you ever need to take the ferry. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to our channel, leave us a comment, and tune in next time to see where we end up in mainland Mexico.